welcome back to another episode of Authentically Divine. I'm your host, Alyssa Davis, and thank you for tuning in. I'm not gonna lie, I am using my phone to record this through my laptop, and I have had so many issues today for some reason, and usually when I have issues, it's me talking about the Bible, but for today, I am just struggling to even get connected properly, so I've been really trying to be patient because I know God is working on me being patient, and I'm just going to be upfront and real with you guys. This is Authentically Divine. I'm struggling, and I'm just going to laugh it off. I also don't know if I like using this aspect because I'll end up moving around like this, and so I'm just trying to figure out my comfortability. But this week's episode is going to be about creating good and solid habits and the ways that you can do so, and how to break bad habits. So my bad habit is losing my patience really quickly, so this whole process has probably taken me over an hour to get set up between my laptop not charging, on my phone. I will go and I'll make a TikTok or something of showing how I set my podcast up, because I'm in my living room. I'm also a little shy when my sister's home and I'm talking about the podcast episodes, or if someone's home, I get kind of nervous. So I've been working on that, but eventually, this is all going to be preparing me for if and when I can speak in front of people in person. So it's taking me a little bit, but this week's episode will include things that I've done, of course, as always. And this week's product of the week is actually this Amazon water bottle that I found. It's made out of glass, and it holds 40 ounces of water and comes with stainless steel straws with silicone tops that you can use. And honestly, because I drink a lot of water, I'm obsessed with this. And everyone has their Stanleys these days, but for me, I'm using one of these bad boys, and it does help a lot for me to drink the water during the day, and I love this convenient little handle. I'll go ahead and link the actual product on the show note captions. Today is my day off of work. I do have a full-time job. Typically on my days off, I will go to a coffee shop, or I'll take my workout class and I'll just go and relax. So today what I did was do my workout class at 10 a.m. Amazing class. I love Legree. I've mentioned about fitness before in my other episodes, but sincerely, Legree pushes me to my maximum limit of patience with myself, and it's really hard, and I love it. And another thing that I did, I stopped at my favorite bakery because I gotta treat myself if I'm in Buffalo. They have the best pastries at this bakery called Butterblock. If you are not familiar, they sell out usually on the weekends, and there's a line out the door. So I recommend either getting there early or just chalking it up, because there's no way you can get there if you're going right before they close on the weekends. It's so good. It's a French-based bakery and patisserie shop. And then I went to a coffee shop, and my favorite coffee shop, and got some cold brew coconut milk cold brew, and a latte. I was sitting down and just, some days I'll go and sit in a coffee shop and I'll just do my work. And I finished up another episode of editing and got that all finalized to be released to you guys. And then, I came home, and I thought, why not take the opportunity? I have a couple of hours. Why don't I record another episode? It's raining today. There's not really much going on, but I've written down what I wanted to talk about, and it's breaking bad habits and the things that I've done to help in order to break those bad habits. For me, the bad habits would be, back in the day, I was smoking marijuana every single night, and I wasn't brushing my teeth or flossing every single night because I was so inebriated. I'm jumping right in here, but this was something that I was dealing with, was I was wanting to be a better person. I was wanting to be better at doing flossing. It's so silly to talk about saying flossing is a bad habit, but seriously, it's such a bad habit if you don't floss, because every single time I go to the dentist, they tell me that I should be flossing more. So this past 6-month visit, I did, and I feel so good because they told me that my gums are stronger, and that's all I want to hear. One thing that was motivating for me was when one of my dentists that I have told me that when you floss, it's literally like working the muscles of your gums so that they become stronger. And for someone that has had fitness as my identity for my whole life, telling me that working out my gums is getting them stronger by flossing, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But truly, if you've never heard that, it's because flossing literally makes your gums become stronger because it's like building up resistance against something, which is like funny, but it worked out really well for me. But breaking bad habits, like for example, how I said I was smoking every night and how I was not flossing, and I would occasionally skip brushing my teeth at night because I was just too high to do anything. And this is like these are raw things that I dealt with, so it's going to be a little awkward for me to go in detail, but just know I'm human. Just know that you are human and we can relate to one another, especially through my understanding of the things that I've changed. And it's just another reminder that this episode and the whole reason I've done Authentically Divine is just to empower others to be the most authentic version of themselves, whatever that is for you, whether it's looking to just become better at the habits that you have, like this episode, or completely going sober, or just, feeling and hearing me out on the words that I'm saying about motivating you on how to be a better person and the best version of yourself. So we'll go into details. I was breaking those habits, and the reason I was able to do so and go to the dentist recently and they tell me this is because I had accountability as my number one thing. I was being held accountable. And it wasn't anyone else at the time, it was me. I was holding myself accountable. One thing that I like to do is if I'm really struggling to set up a new habit, I will set reminders on my phone, like alarm clocks, which a lot of people will do. That's going to be like the number one thing that a lot of people do is setting an alarm clock. Like, hey, here's the time you need to do this. Here's the time that you need to do that. And for me, I will also put things in my calendar of like things to do. So for today, being off of work, but never off because I love to do things, I set like little ideas of what I needed to get done. I also will sometimes leave little notes when I'm working. I'll write down ideas that I need to do and things that need to be done so that I accomplish the task. Now, I'm not trying to put you on like a list. You don't have to be a list person. That might be something that you're really good at doing, where you will not need to be reminded of when you need to do something. But for me, if you haven't recognized already, my brain goes in 5 million directions at once. And if you can keep up, that's great. But I'm going to be spewing out a lot of ideas and I talk a lot. So it's all over the place. I also got a habit tracker. And I know someone very close to me uses it for literally everything, like records when she does this. And it just helps to keep track of everything and keep everything to a schedule. I know someone else that will set every Friday they do like everything the same, just to keep consistency so that things are done in a certain way and accomplished because it makes them feel good. Now, if your schedule is different every single day, or like if you are a server, the way that, server shifts are like alternating at all times, if you need some sort of consistency, I would say if your schedule is out of whack like that, I would just put reminders in your phone or alarms. You don't have to have a sound on the alarm, but most of us are on our phones at all times. You should be able to set up an alarm so that you can bring an alarm to yourself so that you know what has to be done. For me, I also, for the longest time, have struggled with getting up early in the morning, and I've always wanted to be a morning person where I get up early and sit and have a relaxing morning before work. And I work at 8:30 in the morning, so it's like not too early, but even still, if I think about it, I'm getting up at a time frame that has the number 7 in front of it instead of like 8, I am like, whoa, that's way too early, and I struggle. I set alarms and I do snooze them, and it's the worst habit ever. But to break that, I know that you're supposed to not snooze, you're supposed to get out of bed. And recently, with my faith, I've been able to sort of break that habit, and not every morning, but more so, at least more than 50-50, rather than snoozing and rolling out of bed because I work from home. But at least 50-50 now. I'm like, okay, if I get up early, I can have a slow morning. I can sit and read the Word, the Bible, and have God speak to me through the Word. I can sit and pray, and then I can start my day. And I've been finding that is so rewarding. Oh my gosh, it is so rewarding, because then I have this overwhelming peace of the day before I even get to the chaos of my day job. And it really is something that I've been enjoying, but I don't get myself to do it every day. So I also love to wake up early with the sun shining on my face. And living in Buffalo, I don't get that in the winter, okay? The whole month of January, there was like not one single day in January 2024 that the sun was out in the morning. Or at all, actually. If you've talked to me and my friends and I, we joked about it, but sincerely, the sun was not out for the whole month of January. So if you live in an area like myself where it's cloudy and you're struggling, there's also a day lamp, and I love having a day lamp. It's like a sun lamp. I love the sun lamp because the sun lamp is supposed to replicate the light of the sun. And what I will do in the winter is use that to brighten up the room, get that bright light on my face so that I am ready to go. Because truly, they say you should be getting right up out of bed and getting sunlight first thing in the morning, because it sets the tone for your circadian rhythm, such as the sunset replicating red light at night to get your body ready with melatonin to go to bed. In case you haven't heard that, there's a couple podcasts that will talk about it, like Andrew Huberman. I learned more details on that. But truly getting sunlight fresh on your eyeballs in the morning is so rewarding, and you won't notice it the first day. Maybe you will, but especially if you work in an environment with recessed lighting or the ceiling lights, those truly burn the back of my eyeballs, and I just get migraines and headaches from it. So thankfully I work from home and I don't have to deal with that type of lighting. But what I would say is, if you wake up early in the morning, or if you're getting up before the sun is even up, I would say get that sunlight lamp. That is something that works out really well. They have all new different types of kinds. I know it's still fake light, but it's supposed to be so bright that it's similar to the sun on the days that we don't have the access to it. Another key tip that I learned: if you drive to work and you are looking for the sun, if you roll the window down and get direct light, so there's not anything like your window blocking it, that is another way to get the direct light, because truly you don't want any interference. You want the sunlight to come right into your eyes. And with summer, I've been finding, going out and blending the habits. What I'm doing is going and reading my Bible out in the morning, and I'm getting the morning sunlight all simultaneously and having this peaceful reward. So one thing you can do is compound your habits, blending them, adding them together, however you want to call it, but if you put the habits together. So if you are, let's say, you're having struggles with flossing like I did, every time you brush your teeth at night or in the morning or both, the only way you can leave the bathroom is if you floss too. Blending the habits. And I know that sounds silly because technically that's what you're supposed to do. But if you give yourself that understanding, you can't leave the room unless you are done flossing. It's just very nice. But truly also I wanted to mention is when I stopped drinking, that is when I was able to start and formulate these new habits and truly set the tone for the day by doing everything differently. And if substance abuse obviously will affect the fact of being the best version of yourself. So I found that when I stopped with the substance abuse, stopped smoking marijuana, my health got a lot better because I was able to formulate and change habits that were bad into good habits. And it's a process, but you also have to be very forgiving of yourself and calm and patient, because everything that you're doing is going to be different, especially if you're breaking those bad habits. You're already changing one portion of it to then add healthy habits. You're doing a whole 180 and everything is changing. But I do want to say, when you are changing habits, when you break a habit and formulate another, I have found that it's best that you change the bad habit, Like, break the bad habit and create the new habit. And it's easier to do that all in one rather than waiting for you to just break the one habit and keep going on. If you really want to truly change something, then you just start the new habit with breaking the old one. Another thing too is prioritizing yourself and slowing down. The way that the world operates now is like you have to be doing this. I've noticed even like my full-time job I've been at for 3 years, and more recently, there's so much more pressure to be doing 5 million things all at once. And I've learned to tune it out and to do just like trying to focus on 1 or 2 tasks rather than 5. But the way that the world is being pushed right now is so much to the point where you don't even have a second to breathe during the day. Like, your day is just completely taken away from you. So this is me voicing how I don't like the way that the world is operating. And I truly believe deep in my heart, that we should be slowing down. Like, what that means for me is choosing to do one or 2 tasks during the day, even during my full-time corporate job, and not pushing past the limit. I love the calm and peace in my mind, and especially starting off my morning that way. I like to maintain that throughout the day. If I feel disrupted, I know that I need to take a couple of minutes to myself and calm myself down. Because I don't know if it's because I've gotten older or because my habits have allowed me to slow down and my cortisol levels are like slowing down, but I don't want to feel rushed. I don't want to feel that I have 5 million priorities and I have to like keep walking through a million doors in my mind to get to the end resolution or end results. Like, I feel strongly that God doesn't want us to be having so much noise in our head that we can't even have time to sit with Him and be calm. So that's why I like to dedicate my time in the morning to then that's truly like allowing me to set the precedent for the rest of the day. So even if you may not be religious, take time in the morning to do a slow morning so that you take the pace that you want, rather than being pushed by corporate, being pushed by the world, being pushed by social media to push out and complete and just continue to have end results. Like, and just, your worth is more than what you produce. It has nothing to do with what you produce. It's who you are as a person. Especially if you do work in the corporate world, I know you know what I'm talking about, where the way that it's being built now, the way that it operates is that you're supposed to be an octopus with 8 arms and you're supposed to do literally everything around you all at once. And I refuse to be a part of that. I set the tone, and truly I'm grateful that I have a job that allows me to do that and set the tone. But promise, I have to push that back. I have to provide pushback because it's just truly just more difficult as time goes on, because we're supposed to be literally like robots at this point. So I know, and I have felt that other people also know, we're being called to slow down. There is societal pushback, especially since COVID, when everyone was like homemaking. Like, I will not forget that. The rest of the world's not going to forget the amount of time that we had and the things that we were able to accomplish and the peace in our mind. I mean, maybe you didn't have peace because I know it was a very stressful time, but for some people like myself, I had time to do so many things. And if I could, I would go back and do it all over again, where I wasn't working and I could, bake all day or cook all day, like, and still work out and still find time and just spend time with family. And I think that we are being called to something much greater than I even realized, but spending time with family, community, having a peaceful mind, spending time with God, like, truly, these are things that are going to be something I believe that our kids and our future generations are going to be back to doing full time, because the rush of the world, like, we're not going anywhere. So that's another thing. Like when you are feeling the pressure, like myself, for example, today I had a couple tasks that I needed to get done while I was working on editing my episode. A couple of things I needed to get in order, like reschedule appointments. I was talking to my mom. I felt overwhelmed and I put my phone down. And I find that the phone is the most stressful thing about my day because I feel like I'm missing out on the world that's going on. And while I'm saying it out loud, it's a good example to understand that you can still be a part of the world and you can choose to separate yourself from the rush. Because all it is it's a rush. And, obviously on TikTok, our attention spans are so low. So it really makes me happy because doing this where I'm able to speak and have people listen, and I listen to podcasts, so this is why I know people like me exist. I listen to like hour-long episodes where I'm just tuned in, my phone is to the side, I have nothing else going on, but I'm just tuning in and listening and absorbing, and my attention span may try to wander off, but I don't have the ability to because I put the phone away. That is another thing that I would recommend if you are really trying to break a bad habit, especially like using social media. There's a couple different options that I've used myself. I've set timer limits on apps, and so that I'm reminded and I get this alert on my phone that says I can either snooze it for 15 minutes, ignore, or, just okay. So it leaves. Like if you have the iPhone, you can set app limits. And then I started to get into the habit of just clicking through and giving myself another 15 minutes. So that's something else I need to work on. But another thing is just truly setting the phone to the side, set a timer. Like if you have to treat yourself like a child, treat yourself like a child. Like pull the addiction away, pull anything away that you feel compelled to reach for every 5 minutes. But one thing that's been really helpful too in my journey is having friends and family that hold me accountable. My boyfriend, him and he's God sent, he's heaven sent. Him and I will have these open conversations where if I'm on my phone too much or something along the lines of that, where it's like he can just tell I'm like reaching for it. And I'm having like this ADHD moment or hours, he will openly say like, let's just put the phones away. You've been on the phone too much. Like, let's just, what did you do today? Like, let's change and alternate what I'm doing so that I pull myself out. And honestly, it's just great to have those conversations with people because it's true accountability because you're being called out for something. Like, you're being called higher because you've mentioned that you don't want to be that version of yourself to the people that you love. And they can see that. It's like, if someone mentioned to me that they were trying to cut out drinking or cutting out any bad habits like going and smoking a cigarette, if I was with them, I would openly be able to say to them, like, hey, maybe don't do that. Like, can you hold off? Or, and if you are new to that type of environment with someone where it's a friend or a family member and you want to be able to be called out because you're needing that assistance with things, I would say the best way to open that conversation up is by outlining that you are giving them permission to call you out, call you higher, because you don't want to be doing this anymore. Like, for example, I have a couple girlfriends and they were trying to cut out nicotine. They're vaping. And the one friend had it like sitting by her and one of the girlfriends, let's say her name is Kelly. Kelly was trying to reach for the vape and Sarah said, absolutely not. Like, I'm not letting you have my vape. Like, you can't have it. Put it away, took it away from the visual. And I think that's just truly like you should be supportive of your friends and yourself while you're trying to make these new changes and get rid of the old habits. Old habits truly, like the ones that you're trying to break, can alternate your world if you were to break them, because those are the things that are holding you back. Especially because I'm calling out and I'm calling everyone to be their authentic selves. If you are trying to get rid of something or stop doing something, like, this is your safe space that when you are with friends, tell them that if you see me doing this, do you mind like calling me out? Like, don't make them be the ones that are like, you have to tell me this, but hey, I'm looking for some support. It's all this communicative aspect in the community. If you have good, solid friends, they will call you higher. They will want you to be the best version of yourself. And I have friends that have reached out to me since I've quit drinking and have asked me for assistance on it, or what were your tips, or what were the things that you had done to help feel comfortable doing it. And a friend had texted me today being 2 months sober and so proud. Like, as you formulate and step into your authentic self, people will follow too. Like, they want to be the best version of themselves. And if you can extend out, hey, I'll call you out if you need it, that open relationship and creating a further sense of community and belonging for your friend, who wouldn't want to do that? And these are going to be conscious relationships, though. These aren't just the people that you go and see and party with. These are the most important people in your life. They should be having these conversations with you. But that's because you're able to put something heavy into their heart or their hands, and they can hold it with you. And I'm not talking like, yeah, maybe one of those friends that you go out with every weekend can hold you to a higher standard, but it all starts within yourself. And when you have the accountability yourself, it's okay to talk to other people about it and confess that you are struggling or you want to do something different with your life, because the good people in your life will completely have your back and want you to be the best version of yourself too. And another thing is, my best advice, being a follower of Christ, is to, when you are struggling with breaking a bad habit or trying to do better, and like, for example, me with my patience, I am now praying every day to have the Lord take any anger that I have out of my heart and slow me to anger, which is why I think today was the true test. I think today was a test to my patience, because I've been asking for it. Nothing was working for over an hour of me trying out every single thing that normally works to record this episode. They're just so silly. You have to laugh it off. I found that for tension, if you laugh, it releases the tension, releases the pressure, and you're able to just relax. So if I am feeling angry about something, which I should never be, truly, there's not anything in my life that really angers me other than my own self, my own impatience, I will laugh. It breaks the tension. And maybe you needed to hear that. I hope that you did, because I have been working on that. I've always grown up and I was an angry person, just maybe my hormone imbalances or just things that I went through. I've had anger in my heart for a long time, and not even towards anyone specific. It just was like residing in there. So I pray about it. I take the time to pray and to try to be released of that, because the world does not need anger. There's enough angry people to fill the world, and I want to be different. I want to break the bad habits. I don't want to be like everyone else. I want to change anything that I find that's in my weak spot. I want to develop it into something that is, I want to develop it. I want to transmute it into something that's powerful. But I did also want to talk about like the self-help books. Those can be helpful. There was a book that I read called Atomic Habits, which is actually where I got the idea of blending or compounding your habits together to better create a new routine. Those can be helpful in some ways or another. If you're really trying to break a habit, like, I don't believe that like having a focal point on it is helpful, because then you start to go into this shame cycling and this feeling that there's something inherently wrong with you and that you can't change it. Because if there's something that you want to change, it takes going out and having examples be shown to you for you to be able to change it. Not completely reading like, this is what you need to do this, and then you sit on it and keep reading and reading and reading, and you're like, so this is why I do that, this is why I do that. And then it makes you feel like this awful person, or it simmers too long. I think having grace for yourself and forgiveness, because you know that you're making a mistake. Like, if you slip up and swear when you don't want to have the habit of swearing anymore, if you are thinking in it in a standpoint of like something's wrong with you, you're going to harbor on that, and it's going to just weigh you down. You're going to have shame and you're not going to feel good about it. With being able to forgive yourself and, hey, I recognized I did something wrong this time, or I recognized I broke the habit, or I recognized I went back to the habit I've been trying to break, then you can move forward without shame. Shame will put you in a cycle of constant repeat, and you will not have the strength to walk away from the habit you're trying to break. That's the truth that I've lived, how I've seen it. But I did want to say, so another way to help create a good habit is if you are someone like me where you tend to forget something. What I do is if I think that something has to be done and I am already doing 5 million tasks, because I tend to do that, I will put if the laundry needs to be done, I'll put it in my walkway. For example, if my laundry has to be done, instead of just leaving it in my closet, in my hamper, I will remove the hamper and put it in the walkway so I know that it has to be done. And it's reminded because it's in a place that it never normally is. Object permanence is such a real thing. If you're not familiar with what object permanence is, if you also start to leave that hamper there and you just keep walking by it every day when the laundry had to be done, you'll forget that it actually was put there for a reason. So it's all about your timing. I have left the hamper in the place that I put it so that I could be reminded to do the laundry for days. And I was like, oh, that's not decoration. That's there to be done. But overall, I think that slowing down, having the patience with yourself, having the patience with, if you are like me where you're setting up something that takes an hour when it should take 2 minutes, just having that grace for yourself and staying calm, you'll be able to master your own abilities to create new habits by just having patience and forgiveness for yourself. And that is something that's been truly on my heart lately as I change literally my own personality. I mean, it's been taking a couple of months where I've been focusing on it, but now that I am praying on it and I'm getting examples on how to help myself and laugh and just relax, I think that this is something that fell onto my heart to be loud and proud about so that others can also feel that confidence. But I will recap with, if you are feeling that you want to break or change habits, my best recommendations are being sober-minded, calm, having a slow morning, and not only holding yourself accountable, but if you really need, which is never a weak point, if you need someone else to help hold you accountable, I recommend doing that. Having a close friend or family member hold you accountable for the moments that you feel weak, or just to, trust fall type of exercise. If you feel that you might fall back on something, they will put you back up. And so that's something that I would recommend. But overall, creating new habits, it's because you can change. You don't have to be the same. You don't have to be the same person that you were yesterday. You can be different today. You can do it. And this is just further encouragement that those habits don't have to be yours any longer that you're trying to break. You can create new ones and feel free. So thank you very much for listening. Again, these are a little bit shorter of episodes because they're more minute topics. As we progress through the journey of Authentically Divine, I will have longer episodes, more to say, more things to talk about, more suggestions from you guys. But again, thank you for being a valued listener. I appreciate every little ounce of a second that you listen to this, as this has been something that I've been really passionate about and have been brewing for a couple of months, and now I'm fully releasing all the episodes. It just feels good to be able to put something out into the world that I feel passionate about. So every moment that you listen to this, I am truly grateful. And thank you again. I hope everyone has a great week ahead, and look towards the best version of yourself and be authentically divine.